All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rechakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops at Great Millstone. I'm your brother, Rabbi Nab, coming out with a lesson. Lord's will, this is edifying to the Lord's elect. I found this video on CNBC television. It says AI will revolutionize cyber warfare, says Cato Network CEO. Let's see what this is talking about.
Joining us here at Post 9, founder and CEO of Cato Network, Shlomo Kramer, also one of the founders of Checkpoint, another big cyber company. Shlomo, it's great to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
How is AI, cyber warfare, shaping geopolitics right now?
So AI is going to revolutionize cyber warfare, is revolutionize cyber warfare from critical infrastructure to the fabric of society and politics and undermining it, giving unfair advantage to authoritarian governments against democratic countries. First Amendment type of...
That's already happening?
That's already happening. You're seeing the polarization in countries that allow for the First Amendment and protect it, which is great. And I know it's difficult to hear, but it's time to limit the First Amendment in order...
It sounds like he's saying, I can't understand what he's saying. What he just said is time to limit the First Amendment, and pretty much that they're pretty much using AI for cyber warfare. So, pretty much how I can't get too technical with it, but you would have to be using AI to look for whatever you having it look for. But he's saying you gotta mess with the First Amendment, which is your freedom of speech. But let me back it up just a little bit because he's hard to understand.
Society and politics and undermining it, giving unfair advantage to authoritarian governments against democratic countries. First Amendment type of...
That's already happening?
That's already happening. You're seeing the polarization in countries that allow for the First Amendment and protect it, which is great. And I know it's difficult to hear, but it's time to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it, and quickly before it's too late.
What do you mean?
I mean that we need to control the platforms. All the social platforms. We need to stack rank the authenticity of every person that expresses themselves online and take control over what they are saying based on that ranking.
The government
should do that. And we need to educate people against lies, and government need to develop cyber defense programs that are as sophisticated as the cyber-attack. Today it's a 1 to 100 ratio. And really, government are not doing this today at any rate, and enterprises are left fending from
Well, the
themselves.
technology is moving much faster than the political system typically can to respond.
Right, so you need to use technology to stabilize the political system, and you need to put adjustments that are perhaps not...
I mean, we're at a point, though, right, I can go on Instagram or TikTok, and frankly, it already is becoming unclear what is fake and what is real.
Exactly.
And once you eliminate that ability to discern truth from fiction, and what are you left with?
You are left with polarization of society and inner fighting, and you have to control that. And you see that already happening across the world. So this is an urgent need by the government to do that. And until then, enterprises are buying by themselves more and more cybersecurity solutions. But they can't afford all these solutions by themselves, so they are looking for ways to deliver more efficient consumption.
And I assume you have some of those ways, obviously.
So that drives the next generation of companies such as Wiz, CrowdStrike, Cato Networks on the network that are platforms and are able to deliver this extended need for security in an affordable way for enterprises.
For enterprises,
Right.
not for government.
Not for government, but government need to start building their programs, and the same same tools can be used also by governments.
But the two leaders in AI, one is China, which obviously already is using AI to control the population. And here we're all out in a race with China, and so we're not as interested in regulation right now, certainly not at the state level, for example.
And that's a big mistake, because if China has a single narrative that protects its inner stability, and the U.S. has allows for multiple narratives, it puts them in an unfair advantage that long-term is going to cost the stability of the nation. So changes must be made.
Taxes.
Sounds like America needs to hurry up and catch up with China, right? That's what I'm getting from all of this. They're so advanced in technology, and you're so far behind. In order to catch up, you're gonna have to speed things up, right? What's that? Job, the 5th chapter. Job, and he's talking about enterprise. Job 5 and verse 12. He disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. So you're seeing that another country has the stability, and they're already governing their people with algorithms, and you want to get to that level because this can create other disadvantages in the future if you don't hurry up, right? And you got a new world order you want to implement. You want people to take your RFID microchip. So in order to do that, you need an infrastructure, and that is built on the foundation of AI, right? You're gonna need, you can't just have a chip and the chip not constantly be monitored, and that data needs to be stored somewhere, and then it needs to be, you want to create a whole system around it so that it works properly. Because if you don't do it now and another country gets the advantage of that, then you're going to spend time on their AI system is going to be better than yours, pretty much. All right. But the reason why you're not at the level of these other nations is because the Lord is disappointing the devices of the crafty. He's given these other nations the ability to get the upper hand over you in these last days. Ultimately, they're not going to get the upper hand because the Lord's going to intervene, and He's going to destroy them all in the valley of Jehoshaphat. But this is another sign that the Lord is working, and that you're not going to perform what you think to extend your kingdom, or your new world order is not going to come to pass. Job 5 verse 13, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. So He's taking the wise in their own craftiness. You're smart. You think you can get around it if you just do this move and just do that move. If I allocate funds over here, if I do this, it's not going to work because the Lord's not allowing you to prosper. Okay? And the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. The froward, let's look at this word froward. It means wicked. To be twisted. It says, let's look it up in a different, let me see what the froward, a person difficult to deal with, contrary. Thought it meant wicked. Let me look at some other words. What does froward mean biblically? Why is my... No, I can't click on anything. What is going on here? Here we go. In the Bible, froward describes someone willfully disobedient, perverse, stubborn, or contrary to what is right, turning away from God's path and wisdom. It signifies a rebellious heart that delights in evil, devises mischief, and resists correction, contrasting with the upright and righteous. The term, often found in Proverbs and Deuteronomy, points to a deliberate choice to be crooked and morally wayward. So I just say wicked, but I guess that's the correct definition. So what he's doing is the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. And when you look at this word headlong, it means to hasten. Okay, so he has to hurry up, prepare quickly, do quickly, bring quickly. He's rushing this devil by giving these other nations the capability that he covets. Now he's thinking, okay, I need to catch up with them. I need to get on this level, and I have to pretty much, I can't do it the same way they got to that level. You know, there was this video I was watching about how the AI race, how they actually losing the AI race, because when it came to 5G, China, they had their students, their economy. They built an economy around 5G. So they had people going to school, a lot of Chinese people coming in here to go to school to become engineers, comp sci majors. You know, they were STEM related degrees. They worked for some companies here, but they moved back to China and they got 5G popping. So they had a whole system based around their 5G infrastructure. So that set them up to excel in 6G. But when Esau created, he's still behind in 5G. If you look at China's economy and how they do things with the phone to phone, you don't even have to tap anything. You know, everything's super digital. It's like super advanced. Esau's economy is not like that. His technology is nowhere near the technology that the Chinese have. And then he's trying to jump into 6G. So he's already behind by a whole generation. And in order for him to catch up, he's going to make more mistakes. And that's because the Lord is disappointing the craftiness of the wickedness, of the wicked. He's not with him to prolong his days in power. And it might look like on the outside looking in, like, okay, well, China, it looks like the Lord's dealing with China. The Lord's not dealing with China either. They're an oppressive government just like Esau. They're oppressing people too. They're not doing anything righteous. It tells you in the book of Ecclesiasticus. Not Ecclesiasticus, what the hell am I talking about? Second Esdras, the 15th chapter. How he wants to be like America. Where's that at? Second Esdras 15. And where are you? Second Esdras 15 and verse 46. And thou, Asia, that art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and are the glory of her person. So you're a partaker of the hope of Babylon. Babylon's hope is to get stronger, rule forever. Get money by any means. You want to be the world power, pretty much, and you produce your influence. You push your influence upon the whole world. Okay, and art the glory of her person. So you pretty much acting like Americans. You steal their technology. You do the same thing. You oppress people the same way. You do the same shit, but on a different level. You think that you do it, and you think that you can do it better than Esau. If you were given an opportunity, you would do worse than him. You'd be more of a demon than him. Because you think you strive hard to be better because of your pride. You think, I'll just do it better than him. So your mindset is that pride got you even more proud than Esau. You're like, shit, if Esau did it like this, I got to do it worse than that to show that I'm better than him. Second Esdras 15, verse 47, woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her. Yeah, thou wretch. Let's look at this word wretch real quick. Wretch, an unfortunate or unhappy person. What does wretch mean in the Bible? In the Bible, a wretch refers to someone in deep misery, distress, or spiritual destitution. That's a lot of you damn Moabites. You spiritually destitute. I mean, look at the shit you eat, for crying out loud, man. You're a fool, often due to sin. Yeah, you transgress the laws, especially the dietary laws. Leviticus 11, you probably ripped that out of your book, you hate it so much. Highlighting profound unhappiness, worthlessness, or vileness. Yeah, that's vile. You eat certain shit like that. You'll eat some nasty shit like that. You'll eat anything. Cats, dogs. That's vile. As seen in Paul's cry in Romans 7, what a wretched man I am, or the Laodiceans' pitiful state in Revelation 3, needing God's grace for rescue. Let's go to it real quick, since they referenced that, Romans 7 verse 24, because Paul did use that word. Romans 7 verse 24, O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death? So Paul was admitting that he was showing you why we need to be changed. Okay, even if Jake had the opportunity to be in power and we got it carnally, we took the heathen down, we somehow came up with a perfect plan to take out Esau, and we got the codes to all the nuclear things, and we got aimed at all the, we hold the whole world hostage, and we get in power. We would be more wicked than the heathen. Eventually, we might try to do it righteous, but because we don't have the laws, statutes, and commandments written on our inward parts, we will go off and be back in the same position we were in when we got ourselves out of it. Romans 7 and 24 is a famous verse where the Apostle Paul cries out in frustration, wretched man that I am, who will rescue me from this body of death, expressing the internal struggle between wanting to do good and being overcome by sin, a conflict he resolves in the following verse by thanking God for deliverance through Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. So we need to be changed. Never mind. So the law, statutes, and commandments were given to us. So we have some form of righteousness, a little more so than the heathen do. You know, we'll do certain things. We got that zeal. What scripture am I thinking about? Because sometimes, I think it's in Romans, the 2nd chapter. Sometimes, Jake, they know without, is it Romans 2? Yeah, Romans 2, I'll start at 13. Actually, hold on. I'll start at 11. For there is no respect of persons with God. For as many have sinned without law shall also perish without law. And as many as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law. For not the hearers of the law are just before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified. This is the point. For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, these having not the law are a law unto themselves. So for when the Gentiles, those of us Israelites who didn't know about keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, we were following the ways of the heathen. So we didn't have the law, but do by nature the things contained in the law. So, for example, we might not eat our steak. A lot of Jake like to eat his steak well done. You know, and that's just because that's in our law. But even though you didn't know the law, you do that by nature. You know, or you know, cooking your meat well done. You know, not eating certain weird shit like these heathen do. Somebody put a bear claw on your plate, you're probably not gonna eat that. You know, you just don't feel right doing that. But the heathen, they don't got that. Okay, these having not the law are a law unto themselves. So it's like you have some moral compass about yourself that prevents you just inherently not to do certain things. But the heathen, they don't have that because they were never given the law. So they've been practicing wickedness way longer than, that's why they need their asses whipped. This is why, just like a father with his son, you need that ass whooping, man. You need to get, these heathen need their asses kicked by a so-called black Latino or Native American, because their people can't do it to them. That's why they sin like that. And then they worship all these weird things. You got Elam, he bathes himself in cow dung, and he calls that a holy day. He'll take a day off of work so he can play in a pile of shit. Okay? And he's the same one that he's your doctor. He's teaching you math in Harvard University. Same with Moab. Moab's the same way. He might not bathe himself in shit, but he'll go eat some shit out the waters. Radioactive octopus pussy. You know, he's just weird. And he'll eat that shit. So they don't have that moral compass like Israel does. Romans 2 verse 15, which show with the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts, the meanwhile accusing or else excusing one another. And that's pretty much it, Romans 2 verse 14. But let me see what Romans 2 verse 15 means again. It kind of threw me off. Describes how people, Gentiles, who don't have the written law of Moses still show its requirements are written on their hearts through their conscience, which accuses or defends their thoughts and actions, demonstrating an innate sense of right and wrong that God uses to judge everyone. It means God's moral law isn't just external rules, but an internal moral compass, conscience, guiding behavior even without the Torah. So that's only Israel got it like that. You look at these other nations, you read Ecclesiastes 24th chapter, they got their own wisdom, but it's foolishness. You know, you look at the Egyptians, man, these people are weird, man. Some laws, they had wisdom. It's not like they were just completely dumb, just like Moab's not completely dumb. You know, none of these heathen are completely dumb. It's just that when they weighed in the balance, they're nothing. You know, there's nothing righteous. As many inventions that they've created, they don't give no glory to the Most High. The Most High is the one who gave them all that power. So they can't even come up with the fact that they're God. They don't get the Most High. They don't see the value in the Bible. They when they do read it, they're worshiping. They worship. They use the Bible in the wrong way. They don't understand what the hell it is. It's not for them. Romans 2 verse 16, in the day when God shall judge the secrets of men by Yahweh Shah HaMashiach according to my gospel, they're going to be judged too. But back to this man, AI will revolutionize cyber warfare, says Cato Networks. And I wanted to bring that out because this going back to the famine of the word. That's ultimately what Esau wants to do. He wants to get rid of this word. Amos 8 and 11, behold, the days come, saith the Lord God, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north, even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord, and shall not find it. In that day shall the fair virgins and young men faint for thirst. They that swear by the sin of Samaria and say, thy God, O Dan, liveth, in the manner of Beersheba liveth, even they shall fall and never rise up again. Now, if you know about the history of Israel, King Jeroboam set up two places of worship, one in Dan and the other in Samaria. So they that swear by the sin of Samaria and say, thy God, O Dan, liveth, in the manner of Beersheba liveth, even they shall fall and never rise up again. So the things you were worshiping, those false gods, are going to fail. They're going to fall. Let's look this up. Amos 8 verse 14. But because the famine of the word is going to kick in, so you might stumble across it. It's going to make it harder for you to receive this truth. Ultimately, he gonna make this word illegal. He gonna make the Bible illegal. Okay, he's going to make it where anytime they're talking about the First Amendment, whenever they're using anti-Semitic, you know, it all circles around your First Amendment. Okay, so, but it's not just to stop the flow of information, even though that's what it's for. But it's mostly because of this word. This word has an effect on people the way it goes out, because it ties everything back to prophecy. See, nothing's gonna, the things that he's doing have been done before. I mean, if you look at Israel, you might think this is something new. That's the same thing that's going on over there. Is the same thing how this place got established. Was the uproar for that. Years later, y'all are cool with it, and you want to keep it up. But you want to point the finger at these people today. That's your people. You've always done that. Amos 8 verse 14 is a prophetic verse from the Old Testament describing judgment on Israel, stating that those who swear by idols in Samaria, like the golden calves in Dan and Bethel / Beersheba, and their false gods, will fall and never rise again, signifying total ruin for their idolatrous practices, contrasting with the spiritual thirst of the people in verse 13. So you're going to fall if you don't have this word. The whole point of the ministry is so that you can stand in that time. What precept does that match up with? If ye shall be able to stand. I can't, let me see. I don't know what's going on. That you shall be able to stand, KJV. Yes, Ephesians the 6th chapter. That sounds about right. Let's jump over there real quick. You want to stand, man. Put on the armor of God. Ephesians 6 verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. So you got to put on the whole armor. Okay, ultimately it's this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, man. You got to have it. You got to be firm. You got to be tight in this word, man. Okay, but the wiles of the devil, he got Jacob's trouble coming. All of these tests that he's going to tempt you with are created for you to fall. If you're not operating in the truth, you're liable to stumble and fall. That's what the ministry was set up for the men in the last days. This is what's going to sustain them. Okay, not everyone has their own ways of sustainability. They got their guns, they got food and bunkers and clothes, and they trust in worldly things. But we understand the battle's spiritual, and we're preparing for a spiritual battle while they're preparing for a carnal one. Ephesians 6 verse 12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So let's look this up. Let's see what a principality is. Principality. It says the person or thing that commences the first person or thing in a series. The leader. Okay, that by which anything begins to be, the origin, the active cause, the extremity of a thing, the extremity of a thing, of the corners of a cell, the first place, principality, rule, magistracy. Let me look this word up, magistracy. I'm saying that wrong. Let me see how they say it. I don't know why Satan's messing with me. The office or authority of a magistrate, whatever, of angels and demons. So the principalities are spirits. It's a spiritual thing. Okay, the extremity of a thing, yeah, when you look at it, the extreme of it, it's spiritual. You know, you might be able to track things down all the way up. Okay, it goes back to the Rothschilds. You can go deep, and then you can go within the family line and be like, it's this dude right here. But even there's someone above him. And that's the spiritual demon Satan. And then there's someone above the spiritual demon Satan, which is Yahweh, then Yahweh. But at the same time, they're being controlled. On the top of it all goes back to the Most High. So we're preparing our minds. We understand his laws. We understand the rules of engagement in a spiritual war. We keep in the law, statutes, and commandments. This is a light unto our path in a dark world. Ephesians 6, verse 13. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. So a lot of us, you have to do it all, man. Having done all to stand. Okay, and that evil day, it starts with Jacob's trouble. It's everything, man. Okay, the thermonuclear missiles. Okay, that's the day of the Lord. It's a day of darkness and not light, according to Amos, the 5th chapter. Ephesians 6, verse 14, stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness. Okay, you got to be protecting your breastplate covers your chest, your vital organs. Okay, your heart, which is your mind. You gotta protect that, and you protect it with this truth. Your loins girt about with truth. Your loins going around like your belt, your waist. Okay, you want to be firm with how you put on this truth. You don't want any chinks in your armor when you're going out to battle. You want to make sure you're fitted. You know, when King David went to go fight Goliath, Saul went to give him some armor. What did he say there? Let me grab that. Real quick. I know where it's at, as a matter of fact. Let's just jump over there real quick. I didn't even finish 2nd Edges 15. I'll hold that. I'm going to grab this. I think it's 1 Samuel 17. Let me go check real quick. I think I know where it's 1 Samuel 17. And let's see. I forgot. And Saul armed David with his armor. Yeah, 1 Samuel 17 and 38. I'll start at 37. David said, moreover, the Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine, talking about Goliath. And Saul said unto David, go, and the Lord be with thee. And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put a helmet of brass upon his head. Also he armed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and he essayed to go. Let's look at this word, essayed. Determine the content or quality of attempt. And he had essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off him. So you got to prove this, man. You got to prove your armor. Let's look at that word prove real quick. When you put the armor of God on, man, you got to prove it first. Let's look at this word prove. To test, try, prove, tempt, essay, put to the proof or test. To test, try, to attempt, essay, try, to test, try, prove, attempt. So you want to pretty much, you want to see if these things are true. You want to make sure that you're fully persuaded in your own mind when it comes to this truth. You don't want to have any, I'm not really sure in the doctrine. You want to, within your own mind, you want to pull out any thing you might not know. You want to get those answers now. If you don't really believe what you were told, or you want to iron those kinks out, because that can be an entry for the enemy. That could be a weak point for the enemy. For example, if you don't believe in the MOTB, you more likely to take it then. If you don't believe that what brothers are telling you the MOTB is, you're more likely to take the MOTB. If you don't believe something else, you're more likely to do something that transgress one of these laws, and then the Lord might not deal with you. If you're still eating pork, he can get you, man. Certain little things, hopefully that makes, the MOTB is the best example I can think of, but it tells you that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. So anything that's contrary to the doctrine could have potentially make you fall. Now we know that the Lord is going to be with his elect. This is why you want to make your calling and election sure. But this knowledge will puff you up and have you thinking that you're somebody when you're not. That's why you want to be humble to it's really up to the Lord. There's like a thin line between being confident and being puffed up. But that's why you got to examine yourself. But you want to prove the armor that you're putting on is the point. He was going to battle. He ain't put that armor on. Now that's spiritual too. That's why I went and grabbed it, because David represents the house of David. So when he went to go to war, he didn't prove it. So he took it off of him. 1 Samuel 17:40, and he took his staff in his hand and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook and put them in a shepherd's bag, which he had even in a scrip. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistines. So the stones, ultimately, our stone is Yahweh Shai. Okay, and that's all we need. And the Philistine came on and drew near unto David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth and ruddy and of a fair countenance. Yeah, he disdained him because he was a youth and ruddy. He looked young. Okay, not because he didn't disdain him because he was red. Oh, I'm dealing with some fucking Edomite looking dude. No, he looked like a young man. And the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air and to the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield. But I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defiled. And it tells you in Proverbs 18:10 that the name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and are safe. Okay? That strong tower, it starts with the name, but then this word. Okay? This truth. There's a point. There's something else I want to get. Yes, the verse is two. The point. Another point I want to make is in 2 verses down. 1 Samuel 17 verse 46. This day will the Lord Yahweh deliver thee into my hand. That's a big point. He's gonna deliver our enemies into our hand, and I will smite thee and take thine head from thee, and I will give the carcass to the host of the Philistines this day, unto the fowls of the air and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. So he was giving glory to Yahweh for this great victory he was about to rock. This is the point, 1 Samuel 17, verse 47. And all this assembly shall know that the Lord Yahweh saveth not with sword and spear. For the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. So here it is. His weapons was the rock, was Yahweh Shai. And this is another precept that shows you the Lord saveth not with sword and spear. So David didn't have a sword. So Goliath was probably looking at him like he was a dead man. And what did he do? And it came to pass, this a little bit more. When the Philistine rose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag and took thence a stone and slang it and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead and he fell upon his face to the earth. So that's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to get the victory when Yahweh Shai returns. And all we got to do is wait for him. But you got to have the right armor on for this battle that we're going to be going into. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 14. Stand therefore, having your loins girded about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Let's look at this word, shod. Shod means shoe. Fit with a shoe or shoes. Protect with a metal shoe. What does it mean to be? What does shod in the Bible mean? In the Bible, shod primarily relates to being equipped with sandals for readiness in spiritual preparation. That's right. We want to be prepared for spiritually. But ultimately, you don't want to, if your shoes are not tied on tight, you're going to be, you got loose shoes. Jake liked to look pretty, put his feet, kind of loosen up his laces. You get in the ring with somebody with his shoes on tight, he gonna have better firm. He's more firm than you. His feet can grip the ground a little bit better than you, and he might get the W over you, in a wrestling match or something like that. But so you want to be firmly in all aspects of this truth. That's just another metaphor for you being firm in this truth. Proving your armor. Ephesians 6 in verse 15, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. So your faith is very important. That shield is, your faith is going to be able to block the fiery darts of the wicked. And these fiery darts are coming in a multitude of forms, especially your mind. If it contradicts what's written, if it contradicts the faith that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua has given you, you're not going to be able to quench that. See, these fiery darts are coming every single day. You think he's taking too long, but your faith is going to make you still hasten the day. You're going to still be comforted with the word, but the faith is supposed to keep you firm. And whatever comes at you, you got your faith. Even David on his deathbed kept his faith. He knew all these things weren't coming at that time. So there's really no excuse to lose your faith. He knew that the Lord was righteous. So he had his armor on, even up to the point when he was about to die. And we got to be the same way. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 17, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. So that's your complete armor. Helmet of salvation, man. You got to know you got a Savior. No matter what he's putting you through, that you're going to be saved. And the sword of the Spirit, okay? Ultimately, the Spirit is believing in Yahweh Shai. The spirit, the law is spirit. KJV. I think it's in Psalms, but let me see. Oh, no, Romans 7:14, right in front of my face. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. So the law is spiritual. So if you're taking the sword of the spirit, you're walking in the spirit. Okay. And a token of you doing that is keeping the law. Not that the law is going to save you. It's just the facts that the Lord's dealing with you. He's showing you, revealing things to you. And when you have that understanding, that wisdom will be applied in your walk. The Lord kept the law perfectly. So if you being conformed to his image, why wouldn't you be keeping the law? Tells you that he who teach, let me see, where is that? He that teaches that the law is the greatest, KJV. I'm saying that wrong. Matthew 22:36. Master, which is the great commandment in the law? No, he who teaches, I can't even think of the precept, but pretty much he who teaches, actually, let me just put the least in the kingdom of heaven, KJV. Matthew 5:19. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. So teaching the law, understanding it, following it, and teaching it. Ultimately, the elect are going to be doing that. But the point is, walking in the spirit, in the sword of spirit, which is the word of God. So you need to be obedient to the word. Just like Yahweh Shai. Back to Moab. Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her. So Moab made himself like unto Babylon, which is considered a her, the mother of harlots, or what does it say in Revelation, the 18th chapter? Revelation 18. It just calls her, reward her, Revelation 18:6, even as she rewarded you and double unto her double according to her works in the cup which she hath filled to her double. Just calls her. But it's talking about America. So you made yourself like unto her. And Moab does that in a multitude of ways, going back to this trying to go against your First Amendment by using AI cyber warfare. He's trying to sell it to the news as if America really needs to do this now, even though he's a CEO, he's selling a product. Okay, but Esau will say things like this or set situations up. Oh, just through the spirit, these things are being said like this because that's what's going to happen. That's what's being pushed, and he wants to be Mr. 6G. Well, it's not going to work because the Lord, according to Job 5, he gonna disappoint the devices of the crafty. And I was going into how Esau is being carried headlong, meaning he's being hastened because he ain't really have a good foothold in 5G. So he's trying to catch up with Asia. And this is all the Lord working his, disappointing him, giving these other heathen nations that capability so he can covet after it and try to catch up, which is going to allow for him to make a lot of mistakes. In this video that I was watching, he was basically going into how Esau, how can I put it? He was, since he's late to the game, he has to compromise cyber security in order to catch up in the 6G race. So that opens the door to all types of shit, man. When you cut corners, man, there's opportunities that your enemy can exploit. We're going to see all of that. Now, spiritually, we know the Lord's will is going to be done. How it gets done, we don't know. It says we prophesy in part and we know in part. Let me describe that. We prophesy in part and we know in part. KJV. 1 Corinthians 13 and 9. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. Let's get this in the NLT. It says, now our knowledge is partial and incomplete, and even the gift of prophecy reveals only part of the whole picture. So he's not going to give you every single detail, but we know pretty much the most important part of it. We know he's going to be carried headlong. He's going to be hastened. Okay, but we're seeing how he's being hastened. 6G is one aspect of him being hastened. But he's not only falling behind in the AI race, he's falling behind in the intercontinental ballistic missile race too. There's a race for nuclear technology. He's losing that race too. He's a loser. Back to Asia. And has decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. So he decked thy daughters in whoredom. So he decked his daughters in whoredom by sending them over here to learn after the way of Esau. That's why you see a bunch of Moabites, especially in your colleges. Huge number increase in and they're paying more than Esau to come over here and learn this bullshit. Then what do? Look at their society. It's a damn surveillance state, and that's what Esau's trying to turn this place into, so we can implement martial law. He's way behind. China's like, yo, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to lock all this shit down and do what I need to do. I'm ready to put a device in my people. What's going on here? Well, because the Lord set up these different constitutional rights, he got to go through the Constitution. He got to figure out ways. He just banned guns in California. He didn't ban it, but he banned, let me see what happened in California since I brought that up. California gun ban news. 5 hours ago. Let's find a video on that, as a matter of fact. Videos, nothing. No, I mean, I'll just get routers. Get a quick little update. This is like today's news. January 2nd, Reuters. It says a U.S. appeals court ruled on Friday that California's ban on openly carrying firearms in most parts of the state was unconstitutional. A panel of the San Francisco-based Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals sided 2-1 with a gun owner in ruling that the state's prohibition against open carry in countries with more than 200,000 people violated the U.S. Constitution's Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. That don't break the amendment right. You think your forefathers, they loved it. Esau loves his sword, man. That's his blessing. He didn't put it in the Constitution for you not to have a sword. That's your blessing. But that's ultimately the Lord taking away your blessing away from you. Because you ain't shit. But Esau's doing it because he has prophecy to fulfill. He wants to make it as easy as possible to put the device. He knows some of you Edomites are going to go buck wild with your guns and shit. He already knows that. The Lord got this pretty much planned out perfectly. All right? So you're going to go wild out because you lack knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And you're going to die. And the ones he don't kill, they're going to take the chip. Very simple, man. And it's not even up to you to determine if you're going to do it or not. It's all predestination. So that's what the Moabite man likes to do. He likes to deck his daughters and hoard them. By sending his people over here to go learn. Even Xi Jinping sent his daughter over here to Harvard University, I believe, in 2008. Can't believe it. I thought y'all going to war. It's fucking, they're full of shit. Psalms 83 talks about how all the heathen are confederate against thee. Let us cut them off from being a nation. 2 Corinthians 15, verse 48. Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. Therefore say of God. Yeah, you followed her in all her works and inventions. The only reason why you're probably up to date on 5G is because you stole some shit from Esau. You stole some technology from him. I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence to waste thy houses with destruction and death. Same thing he's going to do over here in Babylon. And that's talking about the so-called Chinese man, by the way. He's proud. Isaiah 6. Nope. Isaiah. Let's find it. I thought it was 16. Isaiah 16 and 6. We have heard of the pride of Moab. He is very proud, even of his haughtiness in his pride in his wrath, but his lies shall not be so. So he's just like an Edomite. Fucking proud as hell. And you gonna pay too. Let's keep going. Eyewitness video reportedly shows Saudi Arabia pummeling Yemeni separatists with airstrikes.
سعودي طيران السعودي يرمي على يا الله يا الله يا الله الصمود يا رجال الصمود يا رجال الله الثبات الثبات يا رجال الثبات يا رجال الثبات يا رجال لا استسلام الثبات يا رجال الله.
So that's somebody's day, man. Everybody's day is different, but this is gonna be coming. The missiles gonna be hitting over here in Babylon too.
الثبات يا رجال الله. سلامات. سعبوا القرحة سعبوا القرحة. سلامات. العربات الآن بيتقدمين. ركزوا ركزوا ركزوا. صاحب البوازق. وسعر وين؟ سعودي. طيران السعودي يرمي على يا الله يا الله يا الله. الصمود يا رجال الصمود يا رجال الله الثبات.
Them shits ain't even effective. They're not even running. You see, I can imagine how much those missiles cost, man. You even hit the dude, he's recording it.
الثبات يا رجال الثبات يا رجال الثبات يا.
Niggas is scared as hell. That's what you get for following after Esau. That's how Esau fight. Fucking mad far away, shooting a missile at you from miles. He's probably in a whole nother country sending this missile. That missile probably took 10, 15 minutes to get over there.
يا رجال لا استسلام. الثبات يا رجال الله الثبات يا رجال الله. سلامات. صعبوا القرحة صعبوا القرحة. سلامات. العربات الآن بيتقدمين. ركزوا ركزوا.
So anyways, I'm not going to watch all of this, but Saudi Arabia is bombing Yemeni forces. Powerful 6.5 earthquake rocks Mexico.
Now to that powerful earthquake rocking Mexico, jolting millions, including American tourists. The shaking disrupting the first press event of the year for Mexico's president, sending staffers running for cover. Here's ABC's Trevor Ault.
Tonight, dramatic video showing buildings swaying after a powerful earthquake rocked southern Mexico, injuring at least a dozen people. A 6.5 magnitude quake striking the state of Guerrero this morning, just north of the popular resort city of Acapulco, tourists fleeing to the streets. Shaking felt nearly 200 miles north in Mexico City. Chunks of debris seen falling off the side of this building, raining down onto the street below. Joshua Appleby was visiting with his family from Texas. They all evacuated.
We made it out of the building after the earthquake.
A ver, con tranquilidad. ¿Dónde está?
The tremors disrupting President Claudia Sheinbaum's first news conference of the new year. Authorities say no deaths or major damage has been reported.
And Mary, now there's the threat of incoming aftershocks in the coming days and weeks, and there's already been several reported across the region. Mary.
Lord's not fucking around, man. Lord is not fucking around. Mid-speech, I wonder what she was saying. I wonder what she was saying before she probably interrupted her speech. Psalm 7 and 11, God judges the righteous, and God is angry with the wicked every day. She's Amalek, too. I wonder what she was talking about today, as a matter of fact. Let me look that up. What was the Mexican president talking about today in her speech? Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum was given a press conference likely discussing ongoing hydraulic projects when a significant 6.5 magnitude earthquake centered near Acapulco struck central Mexico, interrupting her speech and causing buildings to sway, prompting the evacuations and immediate checks on infrastructure, though her core message seemed to revolve around upcoming infrastructure announcements and responding to the quake's impact. Infrastructure announcements, huh? Let me see if I can get a clip.
If you are not familiar with SELF, let me tell you a little bit about us. We are on a mission to help people improve their
Shut her ass up. He ain't with your plan. Sheinbaum. Water hydraulics works.
Entonces, ya tenemos el modelo y lo vamos a presentar.
So now, what the fuck is all this? So now we have the model, and we're going to present it
ya muy pronto,
very soon.
La próxima semana.
I expect next week, Monday or
lunes o martes.
Tuesday.
Hoy está temblando.
Oh, it's shaking.
A ver, con tranquilidad.
Let's calmly see where it is. That's some creepy stuff, man. If I'm talking mid-conversation, the earthquake comes, man. They never consider it's the Lord, man. Venezuela has detained several Americans as tensions with U.S. rise. Oh, I gotta see this.
Right now, U.S. officials are gathering information as a source tells CNN Venezuelan security forces have detained at least 5 Americans. The details about those captured in recent months have not been released. Trump administration officials believe Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro may be trying to build leverage as the U.S. steps up its pressure campaign. With us now, former NATO Supreme Allied Commander and CNN senior military analyst, Admiral James Stavridis. He's also a partner at the Carlyle Group, an international investment firm, and he served as commander of U.S. Southern Command as well. Admiral, I wonder what you think about this. They appear to have been detaining Americans, and it sounds like the circumstances vary, some possibly involved in some kind of drug-related interactions here, but nonetheless, detaining them as Maduro is signaling a willingness to negotiate. What kind of leverage does that give him?
It gives him a fair amount of leverage, but certainly not something I believe the Trump administration is going to run away from. Let's face it, this kind of activity we see over and over again, notably in Russia. Think of the Griner case where a WNBA basketball star is held on trumped-up charges. We see it in Iran, where typically Iranian Americans get rounded up. It's a well-known playbook in the authoritarian state. So I think Nicolas Maduro is making a mistake here. My own read of the Trump administration is they're not going to back down because he holds a handful of Americans. Final thought here, Brianna. The logical question would be, well, what are we going to do about it? And the answer is all of our military contingency plans have annexes to both operation plan, contingency plan, to do everything we can to safeguard, extract Americans if necessary. Again, we've seen this playbook run before. I think we'll be well prepared to respond to it.
As he's signaling a willingness to negotiate, he's offering to do more to combat drug trafficking and access to Venezuelan oil. How are you reading this overture from him?
We have got to the point where literally...
Anyway, so you better watch where you're going, man. I'm not going to watch the whole thing. But if you want to go to these other countries, you're not being circumspect, like it tells you in Ephesians, the 5th chapter. You're going to find yourself in some not so good circumstances. Ephesians 5 verse 14, wherefore he saith, awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Hamashiach shall give thee light. So if you don't have any wisdom, I mean, people are going on vacation right now. They think the world revolves around them. Get out of that mindset, man. Ephesians 5 verse 15, see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. It's a foolish thing to be going to Venezuela on vacation when your country's killing their people. Redeeming the time because the days are evil. You got to redeem the time. Okay? Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter. As a matter of fact, let's jump over there real quick. Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Jump down to 8. A time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. And we in the time of war. You want to go vacation where they're battling at. I found this online too. It says Netanyahu says Israel will open a new front to defend Christians across Africa and the Middle East.
You are representatives of the Christian Zionists who made Jewish Zionism possible.
Yeah, that says a lot. The Christian Zionists who made Jewish Zionism possible. But that's not far-fetched. I mean, he's doing the same thing you so-called Christians did over here when you rape, rob, and murder the people that were here first. So I can see why he would say, call you a Christian Zionist. Let me see what this word means. I never heard of this before. What is a Christian Zionist? Christian Zionist is a Christian who supports the modern state of Israel, believing its establishment and the return of Jews to the Holy Land fulfills biblical prophecy. Also, they're dumb, often linked to the second coming of Jesus Christ and based on interpretation of God's covenant with Abraham. This support stems from scriptural interpretations seeing Israel's success as crucial for end times events, leading to strong political and practical backing for the nation from evangelical Christians, particularly in the U.S. So these evangelical Christians, and I think these evangelical Christians, a lot of you Christians don't even know. So they think that they fulfill prophecy, so they don't have any wisdom. They anointed the duck. They're the reason why he's in that position. And so they're for all that shit. So that's who the Christian Zionists are, the evangelical Christians.
It's hard for me to conceive the emergence of the Jewish state, the reemergence of the Jewish state, without the support of Christian Zionists in the United States, also in Britain, but the main thrust was in the United States in the 19th century. So Christian Zionism facilitated the rise and success of Jewish Zionism. And it's been an enormous partnership since then. I've known some of you. Mike, how long have we known? Since we were teenagers, something like that? A long time.
46 years.
46 years. Since we were a little more than teenagers. But I can say that we have no better friends. And I mean that sincerely. You have stood by us through thick and thin, and now we're challenged by new challenges, but equally with new opportunities. We've fought, as you know, a seven-front war, and we've come out in many ways victorious, but there's an eighth front, and that's the front for the hearts and minds of people, especially young people in the West, and for me, especially in the United States.
They're fighting for the hearts and minds of the young people, especially in the United States. I wonder how he's going to do that. He's already been sitting down with people about social media platforms and how he can pretty much try to gain favor on the internet. And whether he gets favor or not, prophecy's still gonna get fulfilled, man. So if you know, it don't matter. Lord's not coming to save nobody calling themselves an evangelical Christian. Okay, He's coming to save His people, who are the Israelites, the true descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, He's not dealing with all these other heathen nations. So if you don't know the truth, then, oh well, too bad.
And for me, especially on the conservative wing of the United States, and I think it's not just Israel's battle, I think it's our common Judeo-Christian civilizational battle, and I think we...
Judeo-Christian, I don't think it's going to work like that. I think if you ain't part of the elites, they going to trick your ass so good, and you're going to be taking that chip too. Or you going into a bunker, you doing something, and it ain't gonna be saved. I'll tell you that. When the Lord returns, we gonna see who He's dealing with. It ain't gonna be no more talking about it. So, you know, I'm happy that they want to get rid of the internet and all of that. I think you should get rid of it. And that we just another step closer for the Lord coming here and fucking you guys up. That's all He's gonna do. And we're gonna know when that time, when we get to that point. But right now, His words still gotta go out. But let me finish. He said something in this video that I'm not gonna watch the whole thing. I just want him to say it.
We have to engage in that battle as forcefully, with as much resolution as we engage the other seven fronts. I think it affects not only Israel, it affects America, it affects our alliance, it affects the future of Western civilization. And I don't think I'm exaggerating one bit. I have here my colleagues, Israel's ambassador to the United States, to the United Nations, our consul general in New York, our consul general in Miami, and every one of my delegation. We feel that this is a theater that has to be engaged with great force. Who's to engage in us in this? It's us. It's you and us. And we have to,
By the way, he's talking to evangelical leaders. So that's that's across from him when he's talking. That's who he's talking to.
I think we have to stand up and be counted. They have to hear our voice. There are some people who believe that faith should be silent and terrorism should be understood. No. Faith should speak its voice, and terrorism should be confronted, not understood, confronted and defeated. And that is what we're engaged in right now. So I want you to know that I spoke with President Trump yesterday. I said this publicly too. I see the battle against us and the battle against our Judeo-Christian tradition basically being waged around the globe. And it's waged primarily by two forces, radical Shiite Islam and radical Sunni Islam. That means the axis that is led by Iran, much battered, admittedly, but still there, and the axis, the Sunni axis, led by the Muslim Brotherhood.
Hold on. Don't even believe in Jesus Christ, so why would they be one with somebody who don't even believe in their Lord and Savior? He says he's just a prophet. He ain't the Son of God. Tells you in Amos the 3rd chapter, can two walk together unless they be agreed? So you full of shit, man.
Which permeates everything. They go to Europe, they go to the United States, they go to Africa, Nigeria. And we are conscious of the fact that Christians are being persecuted across the Middle East, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Nigeria, in Turkey, and beyond. And we're also aware of the fact, as you are, that one country protects the Christian community, enables it to grow, defends it, and makes sure that it thrives. And that country is Israel. There is no other. None. We are joining an effort to have basically a United Nations of countries that support Christian communities around the world.
There you go. That's all I wanted to hear, man. So he gonna go support Christianity around the world when he don't even believe in their God. So, I mean, there you go, man. I might as well finish it, and it's only one more minute.
Beleaguered communities who deserve our help, just as you are helping us, we want to help back, and we're capable of doing that. In Africa with intel, in the Middle East with a lot of means that I won't itemize each one. But this is what our agenda is. It's the main part of our agenda, and it's going to continue with greater force and greater might in this coming year. I want to use this opportunity to wish you all, well, it's kind of late for a Merry Christmas, but a belated Happy Christmas, and not a belated, and on time, a Happy New Year. May it be a year of prosperity, peace, and security for all of us, but especially for the Christian communities around the world. So thank you. Happy New Year to all of you, and thank you.
Oh, man. So don't worry, Nigeria. He gonna come save you, Somaliland. You all gonna be good. I'm gonna grab this in the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12. Verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. And I'm gonna end it there.